Hey y'all, and welcome to another episode of the Pull-Up Experience. Listen, you guys are in for a treat. We have another good one for you today. Listen, and he is not a regular person, okay? We have nothing but phenomenal guests that come on here, okay? So he is doing his thing, whether it's in fitness, whether it is author, whether it's husband, father. I mean, the list goes on and on. So we welcome you, Collier. I got it right?
Yes,
I got it right. All right. That's all that matters. And of course, your regular Brandon, not your average agent, and your girlfriend. So welcome to the Pull-Up Experience.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
We appreciate you, brother. So, okay. As everyone knows on Pull-Up Experience, we like to talk about Jenny, right? The whole thing of our podcast is everyone knows the glory, but they don't know the story, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the beginning. Cleveland born and raised?
No, I was not actually born in Cleveland. I'm actually born in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, shout out.
Okay, so that's where my mother is originally from. Mm-hmm. And then I've been raised in so many different places. Before I actually got to Cleveland, my father was an executive chef, so we would move from place to place because he was always responsible for opening up new restaurants and things like that. Mm-hmm. So that's how we kind of got to Cleveland. The Marriott Hotel over there by Hopkins Airport.
Okay.
Where it's kind of like where we first moved. When we first moved to Cleveland, we lived in that hotel for a whole year because my dad was the chef and everything. So that's where we kind of started. And then, my father ended up being a single dad, so raising 3 kids by himself. So we kind of stayed in Cleveland because he didn't have, to keep moving back and forth. Yeah. So that's how we kind of ended up in Cleveland. And that's how I ended up growing up here. I moved there about 6-7 years old. And then just kind of stayed here for pretty much the time of my life.
Okay. So growing up in Cleveland, you know what I'm saying? Let's talk about your experience here. Was it culture shock coming to Cleveland? Like, what am I doing here?
Not really. The only thing was a culture shock was, which I've kind of grown out of, my Southern accent, because I lived in, like I said, I was born in Nashville, Tennessee, but my father is from Louisiana, so I spent a lot of summers and a lot of time in Louisiana with my family. So I had a bit of a country accent. So that was pretty much the only thing that was different once I moved here. But as years went on, we lived in a variety of different places from Cleveland to Cleveland Heights. And then Maple Heights is where we actually ended up settling into pretty much from my 7th grade all the way until I graduated.
Shout out to Maple Heights.
So that's pretty much how, my journey as a young person throughout Cleveland was as a kid. And, eventually grew up. Like I said, I grew up in Maple. I always represent Maple. That's where I'm saying. Because that was the first place that felt like home for me because I always moved around to so many different places. I never stayed in one school district long enough to really have friends. And then Maple was the first place from, like I said, from 7th grade to 12th grade where I actually established friendships, bonds, and things of that nature. So it's always been a home to me.
Come on, man.
Okay.
Yeah, so. And shout out to Maple Heights because, all right, so I say on camera. Maple Heights was known for sports.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Maple Heights, man.
And the crazy thing is, that's where I teach at now. So
I'm gonna lose to that,
Yeah. So it's actually where I teach at, and I've been teaching there for the last 12 years. So like I said, it's always home. It's always home to me. It means a lot to me as far as just the neighborhood, the city, just everything. It's like I said, it's my home, and I take pride in it. Especially when people, I know it's got its little bumps in there, but I still take pride in the things that being a part of the city.
Come on. Okay, so let's talk about, so high school, growing up, playing sports?
Football, wrestling, and track. I played 3 sports all year round, but I was really good in track, really, really good in track. So track was my door that opened it up and got me to college. And so I ended up getting a track scholarship, going to college, and that's how I actually got to college and things like that because, I grinded in sports because I knew my dad didn't have the financial.
You knew
I knew he could. Right, I couldn't get to college without it. So I put my heart and soul into every sport, and like I said, I was blessed enough to get a track scholarship, and that's how I kind of got to college and was able to, earn my degree and stuff like that. So I take, you know what I'm saying, like I said, sports was my outlet.
Yeah. So cross country.
No, cross country.
Okay.
You're right.
That's way too much running. That was during football season, so I played football. So yeah, but I was a hurdler. I ran track and sprinters and stuff like that. So like I said, that was the key thing that kind of like elevated me. Cousin was a Marine. My roommate was in the Army Guard and stuff like that. So I had all these people that were in the military, and I always had this fascination with the military as far as, you know, me possibly doing it. And I never forget, even during my senior year of college, I actually went to I went to the ROTC, and it was like, man, it's too late. But it was like, you know, you can still take the test, and, you know, you can still become, do X, Y, and Z. And so, you know, that was in the back of my mind. I was like, you know what, let me just graduate, figure out this next step. But like I said, it was just so frustrating because everybody keep telling you need experience. Like, how I'm gonna get experience if you ain't hiring me? Like, I'm like,
I'll get experience. You ain't giving no experience with it.
Right. So it didn't make no sense to, like, I'm trying to figure this out. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it really made me understand that whole concept. It ain't what you know, it's who you know. Because most people definitely were getting jobs, but it's because they were connected to people. So I was like, man, I was over that whole situation. And so I never forget, I'm sitting with my roommate at the time, and I'm like, dude, I'm just like, let's go. I'm like, let's go to the recruiting office. And so I went through the process. I ended up, because like I said, my wife had our oldest son. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go into the Guard. I'm going to wait till you get done with college. And once I know you're done with college, then I can do this active duty thing because it'll work out. That, you know what I'm saying, because my wife at the time was finishing up her degree in education. I'm like, boom. I'm like, wherever base we go to, they always got schools. I'm like, you can always work. I'm like, you won't.
Y'all think it's smarter, not hard. Y'all
right.
work together.
So it was a strategy definitely in that situation. So that's how the whole thing kind of transpired as far as me going into the Army. And then, you know, while I was in, you know, I'm in the Guard. I'm like not messing around, but had another son. And so now we 2 kids deep, still young parents and still trying to, you know, navigate through the world. And so my wife is, you know, finishing, like I said, she's finishing up her degree with both of our sons. I'm pretty much the breadwinner at the time. I'm in the National Guard. I'm working for Allstate Monday through Friday, and on Saturday and Sunday, I'm at Best Buy working on the weekends to make sure that, you know what I'm saying, like I said, I was more focused on making sure my wife was good and because she was taking care of our 2 sons. So I'm doing all this, and then boom, 2008, they hit us with like, hey, we deploying.
One time because I want to understand because I lived through this, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember. I want to talk about something real quick. I'm talking about the recruitment they do for us as Black people and whatnot.
Right.
Because when they try to recruit us, it's all bad. Not saying it's all bad, but when every time they like, hey, like cars, like this, you like that. And I'll say the low barrier entry. It wasn't like you want to go to college. It was more so like they wanted to adhere to what your interest at that time and kind of sell you on this, not sell you on this, but try to get you to come because at the time we were just about to deploy.
Right. And I mean, some recruiters will try to entice young people, especially because I was a little bit older. So my lifestyle was a little bit different. I wasn't an 18-year-old kid coming out of high school, and they wasn't trying to sell me on Charger. So I wasn't getting sold on that aspect of my life.
You look at the future.
You know, they was like, they were looking at me like, yo, you can go to grad school and make sure your grad school is paid for. You got some student loans. We pay those off too. So the recruitment process was a lot different for me versus what a high school student may experience. I don't, like I said, I know a couple of recruiters. I have some good friends that are from my military time. There are recruiters, and they are very, very truthful with young people because they want them to know, especially young Black people who don't have family that's in the military and don't have that military experience. So they definitely, try to tell them the ins and outs of what the experience is going to be like. And, even me being a teacher and being in this on both sides, seeing kids getting recruited, I make sure I tell them the ins and outs too, as far as making sure they understand what they're getting into. And I always let them know, like, the one thing that my brother taught me, because my brother was, like I said, my brother did 15 years in the Marine Corps. My brother told me, he was like, when you sign up, he was like, make sure you pick a job that you can use on the outside world.
I hope y'all taking notes.
And that to me, and I use that very line to my students. I'm like, pick something that's going to translate to the outside world. Don't pick something that you may not be able to, those skills may not come to the outside world. I'm like, yes, it sounds cool being field artillery, but that does not
transfer to the real world.
So, and I'll use one example. I had a student who graduated 2015. He wanted to go to school. He wanted to do IT. Couldn't go to college, couldn't afford to go to college. So he ends up joining the Army. He does IT in the Army. Learns all of the skills that he would have learned in college. They paid for it. They taught him everything he needed to know. He got out, started his own IT business, and then the rest is like, I always tell kids, even with myself, if you go, use it as a stepping stone.
Come on now.
You can use this as a stepping stone because they're going to teach you give you some skills and things like that you can definitely use on the outside world. And I get a lot of people, especially with the climate of this country and stuff like that, especially being Black and stuff like that. But I always tell kids, what are you going to do? If you're not going to school, what you doing? Are you going to be a slave to Amazon? Are you going to be working at this Walmart or these little any penny jobs and not really doing anything? At least go get this experience. At least go try to find out what this world is like outside of your 4-block area in Cleveland. Because sadly, a lot of kids get caught in this Cleveland thing and don't realize this world is so much bigger than that. They think traveling is going to Florida or going to Atlanta. To me, that's not traveling. That's not seeing the world for what it really is. You got to go to other places and experience other things. So I always tell kids, if you go into the military, use it as a stepping stone. Like I said, I've had so many students go, and they've all had different experiences, but they've been able to see places they've never been able to see. They've been to Germany, they've been to Italy, they've been to Paris, they've been to Denmark. They've seen places that they never would have seen if they would have just stayed here in Cleveland and just try to hustle. But like I said, it's not for everybody. I make that very clear. It's not for everybody. But if you can take the experience and make the best out of it, then there's nothing wrong with it. Because, like I said, and while you in, get that college money, get that college degree too. Now you got a way to afford to go to college because somebody else paying for it. So, like I said, the military to me can be a stepping stone. It ain't got to be all negative. It can have its positives too.
That's good. I appreciate it because, like I said, sometimes I would say in the Black community, the military has a negative commentary, and I appreciate you sharing that because, like I said, growing up for me, my father, he told me, he said the military is for a Black man, in his opinion or whatnot. But the fact, like you said, it's a stepping stone, and you know that you're going in like you do anything else with any job, college or whatnot. You're going with the intention that I'm going to use it as a way to further myself. You can't lose.
Right. And like I said, one young man, he joined. He's one of my favorite students. Shout out to Jacoby. He joined, and he loved it. He's like, I'm gonna make a career. He's like, I'm doing the whole 20 years.
Whole 20.
He loves it. He's a master parachute jumper. He just bought 2 houses out in North Carolina. He is living his best life, and it was all because, like I said, he decided to join. And most of it, he always accredits to me. Because he was one of them kids I had from 9th grade to 12th grade, and he just used to pick my brain all the time. And I would just give him all this information. And so crazy thing is, he's doing everything I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to be a paratrooper and stuff like that, but my injury and stuff prevented me from going to the schools and doing all the stuff I wanted to do. And the crazy thing is, he took all of my stuff, all my stories and things like that, and he just kind of, he started doing it. And he said, I'm doing all this stuff because of you. He was like, you were one of the biggest influences in my life. He was like, so I'm trying to experience everything that you used to talk about. And he, like I said, he loved it.
So I'm sorry, I know because I want to go back to where you said you got deployed. 2008, you got deployed. Let's talk about that. So you deployed too.
So we so in 2008 I'll never forget, it was like January 2008. They bring us in. They was like, yo, we deploying in a year, so we about to start training. We got to get ready for this deployment. We got a mission. We're going to Iraq in 2009. So that was like, you know, the start of everything. So in 2008, from basically January 2008 all the way up until December 2008, we consistently trained preparing for this mission, because our mission was to go to Iraq and pretty much work with their police and stuff like that, and kind of help them get back on track, I guess you could say, from everything that happened with Saddam Hussein and all the other stuff that they were going through. So that was like one of them things that kind of shook my family, and especially my wife, because the whole idea was like, I'm gonna join this, like it ain't gonna be no deployment. We gonna be good, like, and then we get hit with this 2 years with them me in it. And so, like I said, now my sons are very much still young. Like, this 2008, so Corwyn Jr. has just turned 1. Malachi at the time is 3 going on 4. So yeah, it's a lot at that time with my wife and my 2 sons. So, but I'm like, cool. I'm like, my brother went, cousin went twice. My boy done went. I'm like, man, like, this is cool. This is easy. I'm like, everybody came back home. Ain't nothing happened. I'm like, so easy peasy. Like, I got this. And it was like them 5 months I was there, nothing crazy.
How long you deployed for? Because how does it work? Because like when we deployment, they like, okay,
they can work anywhere from 9 months to a year. I think ours was supposed to be a 9-month deployment. So because I got there, like I said, beginning of 2009, so we left in January 2009. And like I said, we did missions almost every day except for, I think our off day was Monday. So we went missions every day. And when I mean missions, well, most people don't realize is when I say missions, this is what we call leaving the wire, leaving the base, and actually going out and being with the actual Iraqis. And so, you know, you experience everything from the bombs and stuff like that. So that's what I mean by when I say you're going on a mission. So you don't know what's gonna happen. Every day is a mystery. And so 5 months into the whole situation, we good. And then May 23rd, that's when everything kind of like, May 23rd, 2009, is when everything kind of like changed for me. And that's when my convoy was attacked with an IED. So once that happened,
IED. For all the little looking at it, you're like, what is the IED?
All right, so IED is an improvised explosive device. And so they had a new one that they invented. It was called the EFP, which was I can't think of it off the top of my head, but the EFP was more powerful than the IEDs originally they were using. They were made to be like these new age type cannons. Basically, they would put a concave copper thing inside of like a tube, and then it would be like nails, rocks, and everything else you can think of. So when it blasted out, it would shoot, the copper thing would turn into a ball, followed by the nails and stuff like that. So it's like this new age cannon with like a comet tail that comes through and tears your like whole body apart. So they had made one of those, and it was under the ground, right by my truck. It hits. Crazy thing is, when it hits my truck, it hits the one spot that there is no armor at. And it's lucky because all they did was they legit, it was connected to a cell phone. So they called the cell phone like 30 times. But we have these things on our truck that blocks out cell phone signals. So whenever we're in the city, we block out their cell phones, which they hate. So we blocking out their cell phones, but the machine has to sometimes reboot just like any other computer. The 1 second that it's just like everything kind of like fell in the stars for them. So the 1 second that it reboots, the 1 second, like the 1 inch of
And
the
then one
part of the truck that it's like right by the door because the door has to be able to open. There's no armor right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the blast comes through at and hits. Like if I would have been like 2 inches more forward, it would have hit the door and it would have hit the armor and nothing would have happened to me. But it hit that one spot and it blasts through and hits me. So that's when when the original blast happens, like I'm just like my whole I'm like in a daze at first, like because I'm just feel like somebody hit me in the head. So I'm like it's smoke all over the place. Now I'm a military police, and so the way we work in 3-man. We work in 3-man teams. Mm-hmm. So you got a driver, you got a team leader, which was me, and then you have a gunner. And so the team leader sits in the passenger seat clearly, and because the driver, and then the gunner sits up top. So what happens is the blast hits. Now I'm naturally left-handed, so everything I do, I shoot, everything left-handed. So my weapon always sits on my left-hand side. Mm-hmm. My right hand always sits down by the door by the emergency lock. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, like my driver, she's in the daze. She's woke. And so I'm just looking, I'm like, man, the truck is filled with so much smoke. I'm like, man, something had to happen. So the windshield is cracked. And so then I finally look to the right hand side and I see nothing but blood all over the place. And so that's when I was like, man, I've been hit. And so immediately I look, and so now the door in my dashboard got my right leg pinned. And so I'm stuck. And so then I pull my right hand up and I'm like all my fingers is gone. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, I know this is not happening to me. I'm like, because I'm thinking of, like I said, like I told you, I'm like, my brother went, my cousin went, everybody went. Like everybody was cool. I'm like, how is this my luck? So there's another guy in the back of the truck. He's a contractor. Contractors are guys who pretty much, they do the same job we do, but they get paid way more money than we do. So he's in the back. He's like, my nickname is CJ. He's like, CJ, give me your hand. I'm about to stop. I got to stop the bleeding. So he's wrapping my hand. And unto my knowledge, I'm actually literally sitting on top of the bomb. The bomb blasts through and stops underneath my seat. But I don't feel it because my adrenaline is rushing so much. So I'm sitting on top of this thing and it's burning through the back of my legs. But I don't even know this is happening. And so my artery is severed in my leg as well. So I'm bleeding out at the same time. So in the convoy, we're the first truck, and there's 3 other trucks behind me. Now, to kind of let you know how powerful this blast was. Now, these are, I don't know if you guys ever seen like what we call MRAPs. These are our big military trucks. The blast is so powerful, and our trucks are at least a good 50 meters to 100 meters apart. So the last truck got to be a good 500 meters from mine. The blast is so powerful, it lifts all 4 trucks off the ground and slams us all back down. Wow. So, because they buried so much just dynamite, all kind of stuff, anything they could think of, they put right there in that section. So, my squad got to get out to come rescue me. And so, in the midst of them coming to rescue me, they get into a firefight because they realized they didn't kill us, so they out there shooting and they doing them. While they doing all that, I actually get on the radio, so I had to get on my mic on the radio, and I had to call back to base, and I called back to base. I called back for the medevac. I was doing everything, like I never once lost consciousness. I never once lost. I will say I did lose what we call my military bearings, because I would definitely want, Roger this, and I'm like, man, y'all save me, like I want to die, please, like we need helicopters now, but. And you know what I'm saying? So in that experience, all of this is transpiring and happening. And so finally, I see them come. They open the door. They was like, all right, they were like, man, we're going to get you out of here. We're going to get you out of here. We got to get you onto another truck. Because my truck is immobilized, can't move. That's the first time when I felt all the pain. Like, they pulled me out. And so my right leg, that's when I was just like, it was all bad. So that's when I finally screamed in pain. So they put me on the stretcher. So they got, I look, I'm like, man, I'm thinking my leg was going to get amputated because it was mangled up. So they put me on a truck on another truck so we can get to where the helicopter is at, because it can't land inside the city. Black Hawks are way too big for that. So we got to get to the freeway where it can land at. So we hauling butt, moving, and I'm in the back of the truck with the medic, and I'm with my friend at the time, but he's still my friend. But at the time, we in the back of the truck. I call him Scuba Steve because if you ever seen any Adam Sandler movie, he looks just like Adam Sandler, and so his name is Steve. So I always called him Scuba Steve from the movie Big Daddy. And so Steve is in the back of the truck with me, and I'm with Steve, and I'm like, dude, if I die, please, look after my sons, take care of my boys for me. I was like, teach them all that cool white boy stuff I don't do, take them hunting, fishing, none of the stuff I'ma do. He like, nah, you ain't gonna die, bro. We got you. So the medic is in the truck. He's like, Steve, I need you to pull his pants. I need you to stick him with the morphine needle in his hip. Steve's like, I got you. Steve missed.
Oh no.
Steve misses the morphine shot. Stabbed himself in the stomach with the morphine shot. Now Steve high as a kite. So we got to get him medical attention. On top of the medical attention, we got to get to me.
I'm gonna laugh, man, but that's so crazy.
Oh, we still laugh to this day about it because it's like, I was like, man, did we hit a bump? I'm like, what happened? I'm like, what? How'd you just? So he gets hit. So he got to get. So now, like I said, we got to take care of him at the same time. Mm-hmm. I finally get to the helicopter. They put me on the helicopter, and the helicopter flies me to like a little small hospital that we have within inside of Iraq. It's like basically a patch-up center before they send you to Germany. So I'm in this spot. Like I said, I had no idea my artery is severed. So, but I do have a tourniquet on my leg to kind of stop the bleeding and stuff that was happening. So they take the tourniquet off my leg. My heart stops beating. I had lost too much blood. So it was pretty much a done deal at this, like in their heads, it was kind of like a done deal. So they called back here to Ohio where my wife is at. Called my wife and was like, hey, he ain't gonna make it. We're gonna fly you to Germany so you can see him one last time before he passes away. And so now, I told y'all I ran track and stuff like that in college. So what I didn't tell you is I still had Olympic dreams. And so when I was in Iraq, I was actually training for the 2009 USA Championships because I had goals and stuff like that. I wanted to come back home and still compete. And so I'm training over there. So I lift and run almost every day, like after mission. I didn't care how tired I was. I didn't care what was happening. I was training. And so they hit me with the defibrillator the third time, and my heart started back beating. But I had lost so much blood, they didn't have enough blood to put back in me. So they had to get 13 people to volunteer to get blood so that they can keep me alive. So they get 13 people, hook them up to this machine, make sure they ain't had no special diseases, I wasn't trying to come back home with nothing I ain't have. So then they called my wife back, like, nah, we just playing. He gonna live. And so my wife is like going through all these different emotions and so they was like, all right, he gonna be in DC. We're gonna fly him to DC, and he's gonna end up being in Walter Reed Hospital. So I wake up. It's like 3 days later. I had no idea what had happened. I wake up. I'm in Germany. I was shocked that I woke up. I was shocked at the fact that I still had my leg, for one. That was the biggest shock. And then I think I pissed my wife off because I called her. Now, I'm a big Cavs fan. So this is 2009. We still had LeBron and stuff like that. We was pretty good. I called my wife and was like, how the Cavs doing in the playoffs? And she was heated. She was
believe it.
She was like, boy, did you almost just die? You asking about these damn Cavs? I was like, well, I'm alive, but how they doing? But then I ended up flying back to DC, and I ended up spending 9 months in Walter Reed Hospital. And I had like about 30 surgeries on my hand, my legs, that whole nine. Like it was probably one of the craziest 9 months experience of my life. Just having it humbled me and it made me appreciate life because I had to learn how to walk again. I had to learn how to experience life now with just having 1.5 hands and how I'm going to function and move through life, tying my shoes, eating, trying to eat a steak or, pancakes or anything that you normally would do with your hands. I had to really figure all that stuff out. And so all of these things, I had to learn how to do over in that 9-month period while also trying to fight all of the mental stuff that came along with that.
I was gonna ask you about that, man.
So, the depression, the suicide, all of that stuff was heavy. at that time, and and it played a big role in trying to refine myself as far as who am I now once all this happens. So I had to, like I said, it took a lot for me to refigure that kind of stuff out. And I will say that I try to play this role of, I'm a soldier, I'm a man. The hell with this counseling. And I realized I couldn't do that. I realized I suppressed so much for like a long time. It took a long time for me to admit that I needed to go to counseling. And once I admitted to that and I started doing it, my life got better.
I think the longest I'll not hit this button because I also captivated by your soy brother.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a record right there. Yeah, it's a record right there. I'm like, oh my goodness. And like, first of all, I want to thank you for your service.
Yeah,
thank you.
Sure.
And I think a lot of times people understand the fortitude you have to have mentally, and like I said, physically, because you said you got to learn to walk again, you got to learn how to do everything again.
Man, I think that was probably one of the craziest experiences because at the time I'm like 26 years old, I believe. I'm like 26. Like, man, I've been walking my whole life. I've been walking since I was 1 year old. I'm a track superstar. I'm like, ain't no way. And I'll never forget. It was like I had been in the hospital about 2.5 months at this time. It was like, all right, we're about to start learning how to walk. Again, because I had this big metal exo frame on my leg and stuff like that to kind of help the bones and stuff stay in place on my leg. So I'll never forget, they put me in the little balance beams. It was like, all right, we're going to stand you up and, we're going to stand up for 5 seconds. I could not do it. I couldn't do it. I was in that, I was crying with so many, and so my wife is a true Cleveland native. You know what I'm saying? 131st JFK.
Okay.
She is a true Cleveland native, and I love her to death. And them first couple months, she was real, real nice. Let's call it gentle wifing. She was gentle wifing at that point in time in my life. And in that moment, when that happened, I'll never forget. I'm like, because I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything. I'm like literally in my wheelchair. I'm going back to my room. I'm still crying at this time. And so it just felt like, God had, reached down and touched me. But it was really my wife slapping me in my head. And so she literally, I'm dead serious. She smacked me so hard, I jerked in the wheelchair like this. And I was like, what? And she ran around to the front of the chair, and I'll never forget, she dropped down on her knees, and she was like, CJ, she's like, if you want to be the man you used to be, you're going to have to fight for this. And she was like, ain't nobody going to give you nothing. You got to work for it. You got to fight for it. She was like, if you want any quality of life, you got to fight for it. And so she hit me with this quote that I kind of still use for this day. She was like, it ain't about the disability, it's about the abilities. Ooh. So
that's absolutely right there. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's it right there.
So when she told me that changed everything. And those next, I was supposed to be there for 15 months. That's what the estimated time I was supposed to be there for 15 months. But when she said that, it was a game changer. And it made me fight and start working harder and harder and harder and harder to get out of the hospital. So I went from barely walking to walking with, I started walking with crutches. Then I started walking with a cane. Then I had a walker at one point in time. And then now I squat like 500 pounds. So it's all because, no words from my wife being in my corner. I try to give her as much praise because I seen a lot of people wives leave them, empty out their bank accounts. I seen a lot of shady stuff happen to veterans that most people don't talk about and most people don't even realize it happens to the injured vets that, but my wife stood by my side the entire time and pushed me the entire time. So
shout out to her, man.
Yeah, she definitely is, and she's a big inspiration and a big part of this whole thing that is me now. So I always got to give her shout out and her love.
I'll say one more time for her, man. And so I will say this. I remember my little stint in the hospital. I to this day cannot be in the hospital too long before I'll be like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah,
I was about to say that same thing to you.
I'm not a fan. Like I know,
Okay, I know I
gotta go to the doctor and I know I gotta do stuff, but I don't be wanting to be there and it's.
I get a little anxiety.
Yeah, so I don't like it too much. You know what I'm saying? It's not my favorite thing. I think that's one of the least favorite places I want to be. Right. So trust me, I get it.
No. I'm about to say my stint. I was in hospital 5. You in there for 9 months, brother. Yeah. You said, but shout out to you. Say they tell you gonna be 50. They tell me I'm gonna be in there. They tell me I'm gonna be in for 2 months. But I'm like you. I was determined to get out so bad. So I ain't gonna go through mine. But long story short, the floor I was on, it was on the same floor as people who had triple bypass surgery. So every time the alarm went off, someone was dying. Right. So to this day, I hear alarms going off. It traumatized me. Right.
Yes.
So I was so determined. They was like, you can't put yourself out. I'm trying to get out of here. And I want to say that because once again, mentally having the fortitude. Like I said, shout out to black women. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because like the smack in the back of the head was like, what the
cozy mood. Shea butter and warm sugar is where it's at. Or maybe you're more in a champagne spritz and roses type mood. Whatever the mood, set it with one of these Febreze Air Mist fragrances today.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, she was, and it's crazy because, you know, it kind of took me. She also kind of motivated me to go into my next career field because, like I said, my wife is a teacher. And now she's a curriculum director. But through, you know what I'm saying, when I was in the hospital, she was getting her first master's degree. And I remember telling her, like, don't stop, keep going, you know what I'm saying, don't worry about me. You know, I'm going to be cool. Like, this is, like, it's going to be cool. And so I'll never forget, I woke up out of a surgery, and she was sitting there, had her laptop, and she was just typing the paper away. And I told her, I was like, in that moment, I had told her, I was like, I know what I want to do next with my life. And she was like, what you want to do? I was like, I'm going to be a teacher just like you. And she was like, you sure? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, this is like, I really want to do something as far as, you know, my life to me is about service to others. I think that's why I joined the military. That's why I ended up becoming a teacher. Like, I had went into the sports world and like, cause in my mind, you know what I'm saying, I was chasing money. I wasn't chasing happiness.
Wow.
And so I realized that money can only do so much. Yes, I can buy things, I can go on vacations, yes. But I had no purpose. I had no real drive. I had nothing to really make me want to, you know what I'm saying, move forward and create, you know what I'm saying, a better life. And so to me, service means a lot to me, you know. So education to me is the biggest service that I can do. You know, I remember teachers and I remember coaches and stuff that had so much influence in my life that made me want to be better. I was like, I want to do the same thing. I want to make kids feel special and make them feel like they're important and make them feel like they can achieve anything they dream or they feel they can do. And so that was what motivated me to, like, watching my wife, thinking about my coaches and thinking about, you know, the people who were there. And then I realized that there's not a lot of black men in education. We make up 2% of the teachers in the United States. And so to me, representation matters. And so a kid that can see a black man that is not a rapper, an athlete, an entertainer, or anything like that. He is an everyday black man. He can be, and he's living his life. He has a home. He has his cars. He has his like. I wanted to show them that you can make it out of your situation, and you can still be great, and you don't have to turn to the streets. You don't have to do certain things in order to do it. You just gotta figure out how to do it, and you gotta have people in your corner to kind of like push you to do it. And so that's why I love being a teacher, because I've been teaching for 12 years, but you couldn't tell me that this ain't the greatest job in the world. You know, so I love, like I said, I'm a high school teacher. I can't do the little ones. You know what I'm saying? Got my own little ones. I have my own little ones at home, but I feel like, to me, that when you're in high school, those are kind of like them 9th through 12th grade, right? You really trying to find yourself, and you really, because eventually you about to be out here on your own. And so now you got to know, you got to have some type of guidance, some type of direction, and it depends on who is that person talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, nothing against, you know what I'm saying, my counterparts and stuff like that. I know a lot of great teachers, they're white, female, black people, whatever the situation. I just feel like sometimes it hits different.
Very different, absolutely.
When you have that black, like I had I'll never forget Mr. Hauser, my eighth grade history teacher. Mr. Peterson, my African American history teacher in high school. Like I had and Mr. Starks, he was my gym teacher. So I had so many different black male teachers.
You remember to this day, brother.
Yeah,
I had so many black male teachers that I felt were influential on me. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be that to some of these kids. And so like when I went into education, and that was my thought process was be everything you wanted somebody else to be when you were a kid.
Too many towels.
So that's why, you know what I'm saying. And like I said, I was blessed and lucky enough to, there was a teacher who was retiring at the same time I finished my my degree. So it kind of, like I said, it just lined up. Yeah, it just everything like lined up as far as she retired. The superintendent in Maple, I used to see him at track meets all the time because his daughter used to run track just like my kids ran track. So we used to see each other every time. And I'll never forget when the teacher retired, he was like, yo, you want a job? I was like, now this that part where what you know is who you know. Yeah. And it actually played out. And it, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, I've been blessed to be at Maple for the last 12 years. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I love the kids. I love the school. I love the district. It's probably, like I said, 9 out of 10 times is where I'm going to end up retiring from when that time comes. But like I said, it all started with those people when I was young, to my wife being that person, just seeing her, like, you know what I'm saying? I used to help my wife set up her classroom, all of that stuff, when she first started. And to see her elevate from going from a teacher to a principal to now she's in a curriculum director, I don't aspire to go that far. I love that for her. That ain't me. I love working with kids. The adults, I just can't do.
So I'll talk about the book, Max. So, you also are author. Let's talk about the book you wrote that's going to inspire others to their greatness.
So I have been sharing my story like I'm doing with you guys for a while. And so a lot of people was like, hey, you should write a book. You should write a book. You should take all this stuff and write it into a book. I'm like, I ain't really no writer. You know what I'm saying? I write some papers for school, but I ain't write no book type person. So then, what happened? So my wife really started pushing. She was like, you need to write. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll do it. And so COVID happened. So when COVID happened, I started writing. And crazy thing is, all I did was take on, I literally did not, it wasn't no computer, I wasn't doing nothing. I would take my cell phone, I would open up Google Docs and type. And I would do it like, you know what I'm saying, 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes it'd be like 30 minutes. But I would just type. I would just type the story and talk about everything I experienced.
Talk about TJ, man, because I need people to understand that you don't need, everyone thinks you need like a ghostwriter. You need all these technical things to start writing. You said you were using your phone and a Google Doc to write a book. I literally just, I would sit there and I would literally like, all right, I got like 15 minutes. Like, all right, my son, he got football practice or something right now. I'm sitting here waiting. Let me type a little bit. Or I'm sitting in the barbershop. It ain't my time to get my hair cut. Let me go ahead and write some stuff. So I was just really writing everything that I can remember, all my experiences and stuff like that. And so I'm writing this book and I'm writing. And so then one of the guests you had on here, one of my favorite people, Mike Hollis. Mike Hollis.
He was at Maple at the time. He was one of the people at Maple, and he was in the process of writing his book. So like this is like 2021 when we were doing that hybrid type thing. Like we was going to school, but we wasn't going to school. And so we would have a lot of some downtime. And so Mike was always that other person outside of my wife who would come into my classroom. He'd be like, you write today, you do what you do, So he was that other check-in person outside of my wife that was, you know what I'm saying, very, very big in this whole process. And he was helping me with figuring out how to publish it, and like he was like a little bit more advanced because he was really already moving forward with his book, so he was really helping me learn the ropes of how to go about doing this. So I definitely thank him. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I had so many people that were like telling me you need to write. And so then I finally finished it. Once I finished it, you know, I got into the editor and started just, you know, publishing it and things like that. And so then it just kind of took off. And then, you know, so then the book came out, I want to say 2023, early 20, like, or 2022. Around that time, it came out, like, I first, you know what I'm saying? So I did a little book thing, and, you know, had a lot of people pre-ordered, and then I got it on Amazon and stuff like that. And so it just kind of took off. And so it kind of opened up other doors for me. Like, you know, I've done some keynote speeches and things like that, which is where the next phase of my life is, you know, heading into, is trying to do keynote speeches and talks and things of that nature, sharing my experiences and stuff like that, as far as, you know, being able to bounce back from life, you know. And I think that's what, you know, my book shows, because it talks about all of that stuff. You know, I talk about the depression, I talk about the suicide thoughts in the book, I talk about how fitness saved my life, as far as, you know, once I came home, I was like, man, I'm going to school, but what am I going to do? Like, the crazy thing is, we define our lives so much from, and it, like, y'all probably don't think, we define ourselves based on how we were grouped in high school. Were we the athlete? Were we the nerd? Were we the homecoming queen? Were we this? We define ourselves by that. And we live in those boxes for so long that we don't realize we're still in those boxes until you got to challenge yourself to change or move into a different direction. So my life had always been, I'm the athlete. Although most people knew, you know what I'm saying, I was in the honors classes. I was smart too. I was never no dumb athlete, you know what I'm saying? Right. But, and for me, it was hard to kind of break that mold too. You know, I like competition. I love competing. My kids will tell you to this day, we ain't Mario Kart. If I ain't winning, we running it back. We running it back. Run it back. We playing Street Fighter, and you beat me, we running it back. Like, I ain't taking no L's. Like, we gotta, and then once I win, then it's over. You can beat me 30-1, but I promise you that one time, you gonna feel it.
Us all of that, because as soon as I win, it's over. Turn it off.
Right, turn it off. Like, I'm good. Like, we ain't gotta play no more. Go ahead and play your brother. But so I needed something, like, you know what I'm saying. And the crazy thing is, like, everybody was like, "Oh, you should get in the Paralympics. You do this." But I'm like, once again, them doors was like hard to navigate through. I'm like, man, like, you want me to jump through this, talk to this person? I'm like, man, this is too much. So I was in the gym. I was like, you know, to me, lifting and stuff, staying in shape, to me was important to me. So I started lifting and stuff like that. And next thing you know, I found myself in the world of bodybuilding and competition like that. And so that just became my new thing. It's like this new way to compete and still feel like, you know what I'm saying, in some aspects, I'm doing something athletic. I'm doing something I truly enjoy as far as competition. Because, like I said, I love to compete. I think that's why I'm now a track coach and stuff like that. I love that feeling. The feeling. You know what I'm saying, of winning and having, you know what I'm saying, doing things like that. So, but in that book, I talk about all of that stuff. I talk about, you know, how that all transpired, and, you know, how I ended up meeting my coach, Gary Cheney, and how he kind of like, he took me from this newbie, and he ends up making me into an IFBB Pro, which I become the very first partial amputee IFBB Pro, under his guidance and under his coaching and stuff like that. And so then it kind of inspires me to kind of like move into that world as far as, you know, creating diet programs and workouts and stuff like that for people. So it's kind of crazy. Like I said, we start in this box, and then once you expand and open the box, and you realize you can start doing more things outside of what you normally do. And so I tell people all the time, like, the box that they were trying to put me in the hospital was handicapped. They wanted me to be handicapped. Like, that was the thing. Like, oh, you only gonna be able to do this. You know, don't push yourself too hard. Just, you know, just stay right here. I'm like, nah. I'm like, I'm not trying to, you know, I'll take the handicap sticker for parking. But this ain't who I want to be. Like, so, but yeah, and I try to explain that to young kids too. Like, you have to expand yourself. You have to understand, open the box, see what the world has to offer. Because what you may think is the road or path you want to go down, it might be something else that you may be interested in. And that's the one thing about education I wish I could change, as far as allow kids, when they're like, once they start high school, allow them to find their career path then. Let them find a path. Let them find a passion now, because there's so many kids that's into the arts and stuff like that. Let them. If they don't need this biology, chemistry class. Let this child go and be great in what he or she wants to do. Now, if these other kids, you know what I'm saying, you still don't know, you know what I'm saying, now you take these gen ed courses until you kind of figure out where your life is going to head. But if these kids know that, you know, media arts, or they want to be in, you know, auto mechanic, or they want to be a barber, or whatever the situation may be, allow them to kind of like take that role. Now teach them how to finance, teach them the accounting part, teach them how to run a business, teach them the things they need in order to be successful in those areas. So, like I said, and if you want to take these gen ed courses because you plan on going to college and you plan on doing a different path, go for it. But I think high school should be set up like that, where these kids get the opportunity young to figure out what these different pathways look like.
I always encourage my kids to fail fast. Because the more you fail, you figure out what you're not good at. That's time to go towards what you are good at. Right. I feel like the job of any parent is to find out what your kid is, to be able to identify what your kid is good at, and help amplify it or maximize that joy or whatnot. And I know a lot of times parents, you know, they busy doing their thing and whatnot, so they don't get a chance to. So, and thank God for you, brother, because to be able to see that and be able to identify that in the child, and be like, okay, you're good at speaking. We need to get you here and whatnot, and we need more of that, man. So thank you for your also service in that. And let me use this a couple times. Because, brother, you live a limitless life.
Yeah, literally.
Literally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm blessed in that aspect. And I think it's mostly, you know what I'm saying, my upbringing, my dad. You know, seeing my dad, you know, raise 3 kids by himself. I see my dad, you know what I'm saying, you know, sometimes just come on. And he wouldn't even eat. Like, he was just cool with us having. You know, he would, you know what I'm saying, my dad, like, he would sacrifice the bedroom, and he would like, man, I'm just going to put a bed in the basement. I'm just going to, like, y'all take the rooms. I seen my dad do so much as far as just being what a father's supposed to be. And it made me the father I am, as far as, like, my 3 sons, you know what I'm saying, mean the world to me. And you can anybody can see that. You know, I got one son. He's in the 2nd year of college. He's up at Drake University. He's on a track scholarship. Second son, he graduates this year. He's going to go play football at Walsh University. Right. And then, you know, my baby boy, you know, he's only 13. I still like everybody, I still call him the baby because he the baby. He the youngest one out of the group. Even though he almost my height now, but you know what I'm saying. Well, all my sons are taller than me, so I ain't dead. So but I let them know I still beat them down.
There we go.
But I love being a father. It's probably one of the greatest joys that I have. You know what I'm saying, outside of being a husband to my wife. But you know, my family is everything to me.
That's awesome. So yeah, like Brandon said, you have definitely overcome so many of life's obstacles that you have been faced with, and you overcome them with extraordinary strength and perseverance. Yes, like, so when it comes to what you've learned in your beginning of life that you still utilize to this day, what would you say has been maybe the biggest life lesson for yourself?
My biggest life lesson is one of the things I teach kids too. I always tell them. And this is something I kind of came over when I was in the hospital. I always tell them, you're one body, one mind, one lifetime. What you do with those first 2 is going to determine the last one. So how you take care of your mind, how care you take care of your body is going to determine what your life will be like. And I always tell kids, you know what I'm saying, you ain't got to be super fit like me, but put stuff in your body that's better for you. And then I always say, you know, this is a muscle. Exercise it too. Reading Instagram posts is not reading. Pick up a book, expand your vocabulary, learn how to articulate yourself without always having to cuss and stuff like that. So I always try to tell kids that that's one of my things to go to. And then, you know, just like I said, I also believe that you should have mentors. You should have somebody to kind of help guide you. Somebody you trust, somebody that you can look to that's going to give you the real. You know what I'm saying? You don't need yes men and stuff around you. You need people that's going to tell you the hard truth. And sometimes we, you know what I'm saying, especially young black people, they hate hearing the truth. Because, you know, they think they got to figure it out. And most of the time, you really don't have it all figured out. That's why you need somebody to kind of help guide you.
Another question. So what do you feel like the biggest misconception people have with those who are amputees or you know, have not disability, but have
uniqueness.
Yes, exactly.
I think they think they try, like I said, try to put us in this box that we can only do so much and stuff like that. And so most people, like I said, unless I got on shorts, you probably wouldn't even know my leg was as small as it is, and then I'm missing the calf muscle and stuff like that. Most kids, you know what I'm saying, when I started teaching and stuff like that, like I didn't even notice until you said something that your hand was, you know what I'm saying, didn't have figure.
Bro, can I be real? When you dapped me up, I didn't know, bro, until I dapped you up, right? And I played it up,
right? And so, and I literally have had people, you know what I'm saying, that have shook my hand and jerked away, like. Because it caught, like you said, it caught them off guard. And I'd be like, it's cool, you know what I'm saying? That's not a big deal. But, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I've had, you know what I'm saying, like when I do have on shorts and stuff like that, I've had, like, people, you know, stare at my leg and stuff like that. And they, you know what I'm saying? It don't, like, now I'm like, this happened in 2009, so I'm so many years deep into it. It don't even bother me. It's like you got a question? Let's, you know what I'm saying? And it's a conversation starter. Right. Yeah, it's a car like you. Like I'll let you know if you, because I have literally had young kids, you know what I'm saying, in the grocery store and stuff like that. They'll look and then I'll talk to them and I'll let them. You know, I was a soldier, and so that's kind of, you know what I'm saying. Me jumping into my next part as far as that's why I'm writing a children's book based off of my book.
I'll say you up the next question. What is the future hold for you, brother? Because you've done it all. You know?
So I do have a children's version that I'm currently working on right now that I want to have come out in the next year. Basically trying to get kids to understand, you know, veterans, and you know what I'm saying. You see veterans in your local neighborhoods, or you see them at your grocery stores and stuff like that. So sometimes every kid may, like I said, may not be exposed to somebody in their family that may have been injured and things like that. So I wanted to create a book for kids to kind of see that side and understand that there are people, you know what I'm saying, that are different and unique because you know, they decided to sign this contract and, you know, put themselves in a pretty dangerous spot. So yeah, that's what my next venture is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's one of them things that I'm working on right now. I'm pretty sure y'all seen it, you know, last 2023. I was on the cover of Men's Health. So I was the men's ultimate guy. And then this past like a month ago, I got a call from my old some of my friends in the military. They're still there. That my unit is going to be named after me. So they're going this year. They're going to change the name, and it will be the Sergeant Collier on the 35th Military Police Company or something like that. So that's pretty dope to kind of like leave my mark in that way, as far as, you know, part of my legacy and something for my kids to kind of like see that their dad just, you know what I'm saying. I mean, most people like y'all. Most people y'all think amazing. Not my sons. Kids do that, right? My sons would be like, they will literally shrug their shoulders and be like,
kids will humble you,
right? They be like, that's my dad. Like, right. He's always doing something. So I'm pretty grateful for them because they definitely will be like, all right. So I love them for that though. Because they, like I said, they gonna make sure get the right. Big head. They definitely make sure I don't get the big head.
Okay, so we gotta do a part 2, obviously, man. We gotta see the track meet. You know what I'm saying? We gotta maybe before you get famous. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we had them on the pull up. You know what I'm saying? Right. But let me ask you this, because you have, it's kind of this question we ask everyone on the full experience, and I love it because no two answers are alike. But you have been well, you know, I've been born in Cleveland, but being in Cleveland there because we adopted you, obviously. How do you feel about the collaboration effort here in Cleveland? Do you feel like collaboration is something that is co-located in Cleveland, or something that we still need to strive towards to get better at?
I think it's getting better. I think we're starting to host more events to kind of get more networking to see what different Black people do within the city, and I love that. I know they just did. I know the fitness world they doing one. There's so many different fitness instructors, gyms. I'm a big fan of the Compound Gym with Philly. He was one of my big, like I'm telling y'all, he was one of my biggest supporters when I first started this whole bodybuilding thing. He would be at the shows. So I was super excited when he opened his gym and stuff like that because, like I said, he was very, very supportive of me back in like the early years. Back in when I 2015, 2016 when I really started this journey. So I gotta definitely say shout out to him. But I definitely see. I know I can't think of the event they usually have in downtown Cleveland. I know. What's his name? Larice. I know he hosts a big event with networking and stuff like that. So I think we're getting better. Yeah. I think we're finally getting to that place where we can realize that it's enough money for everybody and it's enough opportunities for everybody, regardless if we may be in the same industry, but you know, you might do something a little different than what I do, or vice versa. But that doesn't mean that we both can't be in the same space and we can't both, you know what I'm saying, grow our own business. And I love that, you know what I'm saying, that's starting to take place here in the city. And it's like I said, it's a slow build up, but I think it's starting to happen.
It's going to happen. No, that's what's up. Give it up for Cleveland one time, y'all. So with that being said, because you have done collaborations with Men Fitness, you've done quite a bit of collaboration, my friend.
Yes.
But what entity, corporation, I don't know, president, can we hope to see you do collaboration with in the future, bro? Because in my mind, everyone watches us.
Right.
So I know you're watching.
I haven't really, you know what I'm saying, thought too hard about it, but I think, you know what I'm saying, one of the biggest collaborations that I'm still hoping to kind of like make happen, I talked about him earlier, Mike Hollis. Me and him we kind of bounced this idea off each other back before when he was and maybe before he left. You know, kind of similar to what y'all doing, but doing a podcast for young adults, talking about young kids' experiences
tonight.
Right, talking about young kids' experiences, trying to help guide a certain age group, in that age group between 14 and I would say like 22. Me and him really had a discussion about this back in the day as far as creating a podcast where we would have different topics that we feel that young people would gravitate to and to kind of talk about, you know what I'm saying, trying to help young people, especially young African American kids, you know, understand how to navigate this world, how to live in this world, and things that we don't really talk about in the, like, you know what I'm saying, in a school setting, you know. So me and him had this idea, but you know, he kind of like, you know, he got his thing going on, I got my thing going on, but we, you know what I'm saying, that would probably be one of my biggest goals once everything kind of settles down, and to kind of sit down with him and create this thing. And I'm also in the process of another collaboration I'm trying to figure out how to do, but I really want to, I met some teachers from Philly because I was at it's called BMEC, which is Black Education Male Convocation. They have it every year in Philadelphia. And so I'm in the process of really wanting to create what's called a barbershop talk, where I can have young boys come after school, like once a week or once a month, where we just sit down and discuss things that young males are going through. Because I don't feel like there's a space for young Black men to have real discussions that don't, like, once again, that doesn't involve, you know, sports or entertainment. So I feel like they need a space to be able to talk about certain things that sometimes they may not be able to talk with, you know, at home, or they don't have that person. So I figure, you know, if we set up like a barbershop type deal, you know what I'm saying? I want to get some barbers, you know what I'm saying, cut their hair. We talk, we guide these young Black boys on these different life experiences and kind of help them grow.
Yeah, definitely. I know this guy who can help produce all that. We'll talk the words. Collaborations coming on the way and whatnot, because that's dope. That's dope coming by the way, man. Like, give them a call too, man.
Yeah.
I want to see some Nike merchandise all around or whatnot. Yes.
Well, listen, there is no doubt about it. When it comes to legacy for yourself, undeniably, it's extraordinary. I mean, again, you have done so much in your short length of time being on this earth. You know, not to give away the age, but you have, teenagers and grown men out here. So, okay. So, when we talk about legacy, what would you like for that legacy to be for yourself as an individual? What would you like the legacy to be on the entrepreneurial side as well?
My legacy as an individual, I couldn't even say what I wanted. I just want, like I said, I just want my sons to be proud of me. That's it. Look, that's to me. That's the only thing that matters to me is how they view me. Once I always tell them I'm not gonna always be here. So I want to make sure that when I do leave here, they can always say my dad did everything he was supposed to do. As far as the business aspect, with Collier Elite, coaching and consultant, I'm actually, I'm really trying to push my wife to kind of like really take the next step with our business. That to me would be my biggest legacy, is to see her finally go, because my wife, she is super, 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 super educated. I mean, and she knows the education field probably better than most people could imagine. And I really want her to be in that space where she can, she can deliver professional development across the country and kind of get people to the place where, they can run a school successfully and do things that, I just, if you just sit down and just pick my wife's brains, sometimes I don't like to talk about work with her. Because like sometimes she the explanation, I just be looking for a yes or no. But then my wife would she started rattling off all this educational stuff, and I'd be like, look, I ain't signed up for a superintendent meeting. I just want you to tell me yes or no. But I love it. Like I said, that would be, to me, for my legacy. Like, I would love to continue to go on doing, speeches, going across, really sharing my story and sharing my, as far as my aspect. But my goal is to push her to kind of like elevate and go to the next level.
All right. Well, listen, your story has been incredible. And I mean, obviously, not just us that's in this room that you have like inspired and really motivated and shown us that life has no limits. But I'm positive there's somebody that is watching or listening that is also thinking the same thing. So listen, when it comes to takeaways, because you've been dropping some gems now, Corwyn. I mean, he been lighting it up when he wasn't all his story.
I was like, listen,
you see how I go? I told you.
Yeah.
So listen, when it comes to 3 takeaways, what would you like for somebody that's listening or watching to be able to gather from tonight's episode?
The one that I said to y'all, like, that really still sticks to me, as far as it's not about the disability, it's about the ability. You have to definitely always remember that you have the ability to do anything you want to. Another thing I would like to say is, don't allow nobody to put you in a box. Don't allow nobody to tell you what you can or cannot do. Make sure that you continue to grow. And then I think my last takeaway is just, enjoy life. Because you never know when it's going to be over with. So make sure you live life without regrets. Make sure you, make sure you tell whoever you exist in your life, you love them, all that good stuff. I know the key thing in my household is ain't nobody allowed to go to bed bad. Ain't nobody going to bed mad. My kids, you can't go mad. You can be mad at your mama. You can't be mad at me. I'm not going to bed mad at my wife. I can't say nothing promised. We ain't promised to be here tomorrow. So make sure that you live every day, like I said, and love on those who love on you.
All right. Great way to end the night.
Awesome, right there.
Best takeaways.
So, multiple questions of the whole interview, my brother. Where can people learn more? Where can they book you? Where can they have you speak? Where can they have you
purchase the book?
All that.
So you can go to CollierEliteCC.com. That's where you can book me or my wife, or if you want educational things like that. If you need me to come and speak at an event, I just did the Educator Rising event back in February for teachers. Well, inspiring teachers. I did that as a keynote speaker. So you can book me on there. Like I said, CollierCC.com. That's where the book is at. You also can get the book on Amazon. The only difference is if you order it from my website, I actually personally autograph all the books that come from my website. So I make sure I sign them, things of that nature. And also you can just find me on Instagram. It's Black Captain America. It's BLKCAP America and then _ IFBB Pro. So you can typically find me on there too. So that's pretty much yeah.
All right.
And listen, as you guys watch this or listen to this, right in the show notes, boom, it's right there. So ain't no excuse why you ain't booking them, ain't getting the book, you ain't doing all that, okay?
Yes.
CJ, man, we appreciate you, brother.
Thank you all for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. I'm inspired. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I told you.
Okay, y'all, real quick, we got to pay some bills real quick. How long since over, Brittany? How long? We got so many things going on.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Yes.
I'll start with Man Cave is coming up, yeah.
Man Cave, guys. April 12th to 13th, guys. We will be at Warren, Ohio at the Grand Resort Hotel. The phenomenal team at the Pink and Black Honors have created a great space for men to, one, gather, but then two, empower each other with great speakers like Philly Wheaton. Waverly Willis. My pastor Judith, will be there to give a great speech also. So
yourself, right?
I'll be there. I mean, somebody gonna be there. It's gotta be me, right? But I'm let me stop playing. But it is an honor to be among great men to be in the room, and I want you to be in that room too. So 15 on up, we need you in that room.
Yes.
It's gonna be a phenomenal time. Please get your tickets. Shout out to Demetrius Harvey from Pink Black Honors putting together this amazing event because it's gonna be phenomenal. So I want all the men, young men, old, come on through. We want to see you there, okay? I'm gonna hand over to Brittany.
Okay, that's fair. Make sure you guys tune in to my podcast.
Come on, give me this.
Excuse
me.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Again, guys, giving you guys relationship advice. Listen, me and my phenomenal guests, we are taking those relationship topics, we are expounding on them, and again, the overall goal, you guys, is that if you can be able to learn from our mistakes, we know that it was a story well told on Beauty Told. So, and shout out to Bree over Flow Studios.
Come on, I'm a Bree.
I sometimes don't believe what I'm watching and seeing, and
like that me
taking in, as I'm recording, like, hey, mama made it, So, thank you to Overflow Studios for just transforming Beauty Told into something that has been incredible. I've had so much good feedback. Again, if you haven't been tuning in, you're missing out.
You are missing out. What is wrong with you? Okay, stop playing. Subscribe. It's right there. Boom. If you on our page, it's right there. You be told first one. Boom. Right there. Okay. Stop playing. Also, Sensei, who's behind the camera.
That's right.
He has a phenomenal podcast. Indian Talks, Photo Industry Talks.
Yes.
I need you to stop playing with me and subscribe today. If you want to get knowledge, wisdom, you want to know more about the photography industry, you need to be listening in. I'm not even in the photography industry. I'm learning stuff. So what are you doing? Okay. I need you to go and subscribe Apple, Spotify. Where else are you on, Steve?
He on all of them.
All of them.
Look, he on all of them.
Steve and all of them, okay? I need you to subscribe today, and I want you guys to get. We had the pleasure of getting it personally. I need you guys to experience it on what we experienced.
Yeah,
okay?
That's right. Get as close as you can to them. So
yeah, exactly.
That's gonna be the way to do it.
Exactly. We got it with person. So you're bad. Yes. So please do that today. What else we got going on, Brittany? I forget. We real rusty or whatnot.
Okay. Well, the grand opening.
Yes.
You cannot forget where we are sitting. All right, now show them. All right.
Yes. 2U Wines, guys. April 26th. Yes. We will be having the grand opening. right. 2U Wines. You guys, I'm biased. I don't care what anybody says. The best wine in the world will be having her grand opening at this phenomenal place. You guys have been like, we're in another country. We in 2U Wines. Okay. The greatest place in the world. And she's going to be having phenomenal specials, tastings, and just come celebrate with us. We're going to be here partying up one time. Okay. So do that today. What else you got going on? I feel like we're off today.
I know.
Michelle Louise, you got a podcast coming up? Michelle Louise podcast.
What's wrong with him?
Virtual Please coming up.
I know. We ain't even pop no bottles, girl.
Yeah. So we joke around, but one thing to talk about amongst us is purpose pushing, right? Mm-hmm. And the one thing I'm gonna push this year. And don't worry, I'm saying it now. It is April 1st. And not even April Fool's joke. Don't worry, the podcast from Michelle Louise coming. Okay? Y'all heard it first.
Oh, Lord.
I'm joking, but it's not a joke. Okay? I'm not joking. I think that's all we got.
Phenomenal team.
Phenomenal team, yes.
Shout out the rest, from MJM to Curvy, Confident, and Nervous to, of course, To You Wines with Nakia. Who am I missing?
Overflow Studios.
Oh, I already shouted her out.
Yeah,
but
shout again.
You can never do it. Yeah.
Yes.
Alien Eyes. I mean, we just have it all here. So again, you guys make sure you are partaking in what they have available. Book them before it's too late. All of that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. If you guys, once again, you're watching, you're listening, right in the show notes. Everyone who's part of this production team, their link to their respective businesses is right there. So I need you guys to patronize amazing people who are part of this podcast. Lastly, I want to thank you, the person watching you, the person listening, because God is so good. Yes, as of right now, we're at 20,000 subscribers, 20.7 thousand subscribers.
All right now.
8.4 million views.
Ooh, all right.
And counting. And I say that not as to be boastful, but to thank you for the person who is going out telling everybody and their mama about this podcast. You guys want to hear a great story like CJ's every week, because we ain't stopping until the good Lord says otherwise. Okay? And I want to say, because this is coming from Cleveland, Ohio. We're not California. We're not New York. We're not Atlanta. This is Cleveland, Ohio. We're in the Midwest. But when I tell you Cleveland become a hub for extraordinary people do extraordinary things, the proof is here. Yeah. And it's episode 283. And Michelle, what we booked up to? September. Not so anytime soon, y'all. So listen, I just need you guys to continue to do what you guys have been doing, and we cannot take that for granted. We want to thank you, okay? Guys, 283, roll to 300. Actually did 300 already, but 300 plus. We see y'all then, all right? Peace.